This is Rule of Six, the podcast about doing as much as you can in Keyforge. I'm your host, June, and this is the inaugurable episode. You can inaugural this. Um, I'm just really excited to be here. I never thought I could do all this alone. I really appreciate the support of Blake and Sydney getting me here, and all the time I spent on Help from Future Self was amazing. And I'm so excited to just interview guests every week and hear the full breadth of what they have to say, and give them platforms and make some hot takes. Speaking of hot takes, I have three guests with me this week. KingofBling.
Hey, what's going on?
I have a new podcast. I don't know if you heard.
I was told that I was the first to know, and if you lied to me, I'm going to be so hurt and offended.
Mammon, what's up? No, don't worry about it, King. Mammon, hey.
I was also told that I was the first to know, and if I find out that you lied to me, I will also be very offended.
Who told you all this?
The plot thickens.
Who said this?
I think it was you.
It's just my understanding.
I'm going to ask our last guest. JG, did you tell them that they were the first to hear?
I did tell them that they were the first to hear, but that was only because I was the last to hear. And if you're listening to this now, you probably knew before me.
I'm sorry, what?
JJ still doesn't know.
I think there's a 3 Days Grace song that really epitomizes what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'm going to put that in the show notes. But this week, I want to talk about, I think all of us want to talk about local OP, right? Organized play, sorry. Local organized play for Keyforge. And I guess just a reason to show up week to week, or special events, and what it means both to play those and what you get out of them, right? And the most recent thing is Martian Civil War, right?
So recent.
Kind of just got home from that.
Really unbelievably recent.
Wait, it was today?
It was today.
It was today for us.
Oh, yeah, mine was yesterday.
Mere
Games
hours
Keep
ago.
in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
I'm so excited to talk about the different experiences that we all had.
Yeah, I had experiences for sure.
Sure sounds like you had some experiences. Positive or negative, we'll never know.
Yeah, I'm actually not talking about them. Yeah, Martian Civil War. So this is an event occurring all of August. Basically, the House Mars is divided now, and one of the sides is going to win over the course of this event and be the future design space of the House Mars. And basically, throughout the events occurring all over stores, elders and rebels will fight, and whichever side gets the most wins, I guess, cumulatively everywhere. I don't think we know.
I believe it's cumulatively everywhere.
It could be the number of events. Who knows? It's GG. They keep a lot of surprises in their pocket.
Hopefully, they keep into account participants, because I do think that it's important to just have player counts. And
yeah, ideally, yeah.
No electoral college in Keyforge, please.
Not yet. We'll wait for the Saurian Civil War.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Civil Wars all the way down. Is that the prediction?
Every event, every week, you have a Civil War.
Good Lord.
And the designs of Keyforge keep getting splintered like that until there's a house that's just vanilla creatures.
House Keyforge.
Normal type Keyforge.
Yeah, House Keyforge, where it all started.
But yeah, so I guess you have the most recent experience. So, well, I guess we heard about the event, right? We knew there was a special summer narrative event, right? I guess we heard about this at was it Keyforge Celebration last year?
I think it was Celebration.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it was at the Q&A.
Yeah, and that was really exciting to me, right?
They sure let it sit.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to hear about it in June, at the latest, and we didn't. But we did hear about it.
We heard it existed.
It was
for
discussed.
It was discussed.
I was told directly at 2 different CTP dinners that it existed and it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm surprised you remember anything from them, because I have heard zero things come out from those events.
Everyone was too focused on getting blackout drunk on Gigi's time.
Yeah, that's fair.
There is an Archon's Corner episode about one of them with
Okay.
myself and one of our other locals. And then the other one, I took a mental day off and just enjoyed my dinner and hanging out.
That's so real. That's fair. Well, so Martian Civil War we heard about, and I mean, what do y'all think about the concept?
I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting concept to allow for the design space of a house to change,
Yes.
but also to let the community influence it.
Yes, that part is very cool. Having
Yes.
community decisions influence game design is always sick.
And when it comes down to it, house design spaces are always changing, like every set. So really, it's just about the community having some part in which direction it goes, which
And
is super cool.
I think that Mars was an interesting house to do it in as well, because it had so much flack
Yeah,
in its beginning, right? Because like Mars was cool. It seemed like it was going to do a lot of Mars things, but yeah, it's, key abduction, and that was kind of your Jenka combos, and that was really the only viable Mars for a long, long time.
Battlefleet.
And
Mars has always been very
Battlefleet,
isolationist. They want to deal with their own stuff, and I think
right?
early
And so it
Mars
didn't
was-
matter what your other 2 houses were for the most time, unless
Right,
it
and in
was
Coda,
like
that
Mars
was a
and
little
or logos and shadows.
well, not only that, like in Coda, they did so many different things bad, right? I feel like paring down is exactly what they need to like
For sure.
have a better perception.
Yeah, they needed more focus.
But
Yeah.
but they came back in
Winds of
with such a vengeance, right?
They
Like,
were
ridiculously
exactly what
good.
Mars needed to be. I think,
They
what
wanted
always
tokens
dreamed
the
to be.
whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes
Um,
sense for the cloning house to have
100%.
tokens.
Yeah. Mark
I'm
II
intrigued by
generator,
the
Nyan
inclusion of
outpost.
tokens in the Martian Civil War kits. I
Oh
mean, we
god,
don't know of another token set with Mars coming in it, so I
Yeah.
wonder if that's a hint of things to come as well.
right?
Prophetic
There
visions.
were. Well, it could be that maybe Mars is the only house in a set to make tokens.
That would be very interesting.
Whoa.
That's
No.
actually kind of what this event was,
Kind
because
of, yeah.
you win if you win Grim Reminders,
Yeah,
you got Mars with tokens.
You mean if you were a coward?
We had a few people, right?
a lot of
You
stores
cowards.
are out of woe.
Yeah, that's fair.
You were going to
That's
go
fair.
Grim Reminders until you saw me buy a
Yeah,
WoW deck.
I'll let you talk me into it.
I do think it is an interesting way of playing, and a lot of people are experiencing Grim Reminders fatigue, I guess you might call it.
Hmm.
And it was honestly really refreshing to play an event without Grim Reminders.
Oh,
I
you
would-
guys didn't play GR?
Yeah, we played Winds of Exchange only.
Wow, very cool.
Our store happened to be low on decks, so we had a few GR decks, but exactly 6 Winds of Exchange decks, which was great.
Wow. See how June plays Winds of Exchange for her Mars Civil War event? Very demure, very modest, very cutesy.
I was not able to make our local event today, unfortunately. So I have a question for you guys. Did anybody pick a set older than WoW?
You are not allowed.
You are allowed. I mean,
It is a GG sanctioned event. The last 2 sets are what are legal. Yeah. Anything else is not technically legal. I don't believe that Nick would have enforced it.
nominally, yes. It's
yeah,
true.
I think so.
You are not allowed.
Yeah, quote unquote. Last 2 sets are legal.
Sometimes you trip, you
Nick
spill all the
did
AoA
verbally
decks.
say that I couldn't buy an AoA deck, so
You're not allowed to buy them?
well, sorry, I guess I was allowed to buy it.
I think he meant you
Um,
shouldn't.
Yeah,
that's fair.
He was just trying to help you out, man.
It's really interesting that it was Winds of Exchange. Some of my favorite Elder cards, or my favorite Elder card, is one that like it's like a brain dart. It captures an enemy creature, captures from its own side.
The one that JJ
saw
played
that one.
against me a bunch.
No. Oh, yeah. That and then you make a bunch of token creatures for all the
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you do it to like a trawler, you're just fucking set.
Yeah.
You're set for life.
pretty bonkers. Did you play Elders, June?
I played Elders.
I was also Team Elders.
It's just more fun. Also, it's still June villain arc, so I had to play Elders.
Fair.
Are the Elders the
Yeah.
villains in this scenario?
They enslave the.
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah. I think that's kind of their whole deal is that they're like hypnotic. It's like
They're just
using
bigger.
brainwashing.
and so they kind of they're bigger and they have some like psychic powers or something. So they just
Yeah.
kind of enslave the workers.
As somebody who's bigger and has psychic powers and is evil, I just had to go Elders.
That does kind of fit your aesthetic.
And there's an action called Compliance, and the art is a very tall, slender alien pointing at two smaller ones, and it looks like he's just incinerated a third.
Yeah, that's the card.
That's me.
Oh yeah, I guess that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, a creature captures one from its own side, and then you make it. Yep, very
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, it's okay. The reason why it's especially frustrating is the tokens in the event.
Yes, so I would love to talk about that. So June and JJ, you were both Elders. I was Rebel, and June,
oh no.
I'm so curious to know if your event also showed this, but it appeared on first blush. We had 12 players.
Mhm.
Of the 6 Rebel players, 5 of them all had Rebel as their token. And
Oh.
one of them had a new token that has never been seen before. This is a token that is clearly made for the event, and that was the Minute Martian.
Oh.
So spoilers to anyone who hasn't played the event already. Minute Martian is a 2-power token with 2 armor. Its effect is after fight, make a token creature. It replicates itself. So of the 6 players, only one person didn't get the base Rebel token, and this person got a rare token. And the inverse happened for the Elders, where all of the Elder players, yes, got the Amber Munch, a 3-power creature with 1 armor. With the after fight effect, your opponent loses 1 Amber. And JJ, I think you disagree with me, but my impression was that the Amber Munch hard counters Rebel like nobody's business.
Well,
It
the
is a
Minutemen
joke.
can't even fight them, right?
Yeah.
So the Minutemen can because they have 2 armor.
2 armor.
Okay,
yeah.
but it's like not good, right?
It's not good unless you have Legionary Trainer.
My
which one of
first
our
round,
players
I
did.
got knocked out by the Minuteman.
Really?
He had double Legionary Trainer.
What the
and,
hell?
And rule of and 2 of the guys that give all Martians 2 splash. So he just ran across my board, making a new Minuteman for each one
Yeah.
that was ready, and just rule of 6 them. Hey,
Okay.
speaking of the podcast,
Mhm.
True. Oh my god, is that what the podcast is named after?
Seems like it.
Yeah. Okay, that is maybe one of my biggest complaints about the event is that these tokens, new tokens, the Minuteman and the Munchie guy, are so far and above most tokens we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? They're up there with Prospector and Berserker,
By
maybe
far.
Scholar.
Minute Martian, we're saying, is up with Prospector and Berserker.
Now, admittedly, for the event, it's not because it's harder to plan for it. But if you are given the time
Yeah.
to choose an appropriate pod to match with it, the double Legionary Trainer was ridiculous. The amount of speed that you have with it, just self-replicating and coming in ready and then continuing to fight.
Yeah.
What's the card that makes them come in ready?
Legionary
Trainer.
Oh, well, that's just your guys' fault for not killing your opponent's Legionary Trainers. Come on, guys.
That's true.
Well,
That's
it was
fair.
a year ago.
I
Do
suppose.
it or lose. That's how the game works.
That's
But
true.
the point stands that if you are giving the majority of players of the event an old token that is poorly matched against what the majority of players for the other team are getting, that feels like a pretty obvious whoopsie that was frustrating. Not game ending, it didn't ruin the event, but it felt like at least make the majority of players get the new token because the one player out in the Elder side got Researcher.
Yeah, I should say flat out, they should not have reprinted the old tokens if the new ones are going to be this insane.
Just give everyone the new ones. Like what are you doing, guys? Like, come on. That was an obvious miss. You're doing new stuff. Giving everyone on one team the same token is fine, but make it the cool, shiny stuff. Give me the new stuff.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, there were a fair number of reprints. I think I only had like 3 or 4 new cards in my Elder Pod. That said, my Elder Pod was insane because my token is Amber Munch, which is great, fantastic. It's Grunt plus an armor plus it makes your opponent lose an Amber. And I had 3 clone homes.
Nice.
And a Mark II generator.
Oh, spicy.
I spent a lot of turns like reaping for 3 or fighting 3 times and making 4 tokens.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty sweet play.
If I can present a slight counter argument to the give everybody new cool tokens, part of this whole event is that you got 2 sides, and we're seeing a lot of reprints, but we're seeing reprints on one side or the other. I think if tokens are going to be a Mars mechanic going forward, showing what tokens are coming and what token reprints are coming from either side is just as important as showing off the new token.
Totally agree. Make it the minority.
Remember that you also we're pulling pods that are 3 and 3, and if there's 2 tokens for each house, you got a 50-50 shot 3 times of getting a token. You're going to end up with a bunch of boxes that have the same 3 tokens in it. It's just going to happen.
That's true.
You guys pulled 2 different event kits. One of those clearly had the same 3 tokens, probably on one and the other.
And it could have just been the ones on top.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that Nick mixed them up necessarily.
That's fair. All I'm saying is that if you're going to have a clear minority and majority, it felt bad to have the Rebels be on what felt like the losing side of that. Yeah. It felt like an unnecessary bias where you can still show off that Rebels coming back and have it be the one odd man out in the group. But giving the one guy who kept sitting next to me the cool token while I'm playing with Rebels and getting spanked, it feels like a bummer. Like I felt like my deck would have played better with a different token, and it was a bummer. It just didn't feel good at the spread.
I'll say again, that's just woe in a nutshell.
That's fair.
Were there definitely only 2 tokens for each side? Okay.
1 researcher and 1.
Enough have been scanned at this point that if there were other tokens, unless they're incredibly rare,
I can scan that pod.
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely.
I just shared mine in our Discord.
You can scan it and you can go post it in our team Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, I just did. Actually, should we go down? Mine was pretty medium, I would say. I had the Rebels, 2 clone homes, a big magnet, which is the upgrade one for anyone who doesn't know. Big magnet. It's a dumb rare. Yeah, big magnet.
Okay, 1 point in Big Magnet's favor. Red Planet Raygun is in this.
I had event. Red Planet Raygun in this pod too. So you have the Red Planet Raygun to go with the big magnet. I also had our Evolution. So that also pretty good. I had a new card, a new Rebel card. It was Agent Tengu, Taengoo. Did you see that card, June?
This is maybe my biggest problem with
the card
this
that
event.
Will definitely be errated before any of these.
I love this card so much. It is so much fun.
You can't have a card that just guarantees rule of 6.
Here's the thing
by itself. With no
That's
other
the name of the podcast. We absolutely can do that. No, it's for anyone listening. Spoiler alert: Agent Tengu. It's play. Choose a house. Return each creature of that house to its owner's hand. Now, when you're making tokens, and I'm making tokens, you put a whole bunch of Mars creatures back in your hand, and of course, because it's a play effect, Agent Tengu is already in play. It comes back too, and you can do it again to a different house. It's so cool.
If you have
your Vat Minders, Rebels,
it's just so dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do have a Vat Minder.
I didn't say that.
It's very cool. Very cool. Very dumb.
That card will be errata.
Yeah,
it needs to say each other creature.
Yeah,
right. The fact that it returns itself is crazy. If you get one with pips on it, hell yeah, brother. We're off to the races.
I think each other would be cool because you could get two because it's an uncommon,
Right.
and then that would
It's-
be a
Bounce
pretty
'em.
rare.
And then you're only doing it 3 times a piece.
Exactly.
Right, and that's like as rare as a double near future lens type deal.
Sure
it
is.
could be a cool chase combo.
Right.
Yeah. It's unlikely to have like the big mix of like Iron X Rebels in that case.
Mhm.
If it needs 2 copies, and also you have to draw everything, right?
Correct. You do have to draw everything.
I will say it's a very cool card conceptually for if Mars is the only house making tokens. It
Mhm.
really
Right,
plays
to be
in
able
with
to put
itself.
those tokens back
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Total Recall was so sick back in
I
WoW.
think a lot of decks in WoW suffered from heavy token generation being in the house of
Yeah.
the token itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can make a bunch of them, but then you have to wait to use them. And decks that are faster and doing it out of house are just doing a better
Right.
job. And
Yeah.
so that is a card that very much plays in house with the tokens. Yeah, exactly. Scholar Spam is a similar concept.
I did not open Researcher, but I was very happy to see Researcher. I think Researcher is such a solid token in a good deck. John Jack, my name deck from WoW, has
Oh yeah.
I think it's it's double Scholar Researcher, and there's just so many turns that I'm like playing using Researchers. I'm saving all that Mars for a rainy day, and it also has Total Recall. It's such a good.
Oh, you mean
Legionary Trainer. 2 of
Say
those.
you said double scholar.
Oh, sorry, 2 Legionary Trainers.
Yeah, so they come in ready. Yeah, it's great. You get to archive a fistful of Mars every turn, and then when you're ready to burst, you just slap 10 Mars cards on the table. Yeah, that's a fun deck to watch that combo pop off on.
I don't know. I really feel like it skews the event towards Elders.
I agree, which isn't a problem necessarily, but
Okay. Well, the other thing is that when they announced this event, they said, "Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna pit Elders the old direction about like playing around with card counts and capturing Amber versus the new Rebels, which are going to be able to fight better than than anyone." And then
Right.
they give them the really good fighting creature to Elders.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the only point that I made. It seemed very strange to give them the Amber Munch.
I agree with that. I will say thematically, the Rebellion's always fighting an uphill battle.
That's true.
I do think it's interesting to have one side keep the old art and one side have new art.
For the house icon.
Right. And even the card colors, too. It would have been cool if both were slightly different.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
No, I think that the old guard keeps their thing. There's the rebels, and then there's the Empire.
well, Mars
right?
has always had both, right? But if we're leaning into the Elders, something's going to change. Maybe they got to double down and paint their faces purple.
Give them a third eye.
I was thinking a third
This
eye,
happens
too.
every couple of generations of clones.
Oh, fair enough. That's also true.
Yeah.
Probably
Well,
more than a couple.
So I would say that the bias towards the Elders was definitely a little frustrating. The token distribution was a little frustrating, but not to bag on it entirely. What I will say is that it was very fun to have Alliance made, not brain hurty, think real hard.
Half Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I don't have anything inherently against Alliance, but I play Keyforge to turn off my brain and pick up a deck. And if I have to get the absolute crap kicked out of me with the deck because it's garbage, then so be it. That's what the gods of fate have decided for that day. But that also is what makes it so cool when you have a really awesome butt whipping deck that you pull yourself, And so thinking about how to make that butt whipping deck isn't exciting to me, but mixing up something sealed is cool. It was fun to just pop a pod into a sealed deck.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. And like having one pod to fit in, like if you did single deck with this, you have 3 pods and you choose which one of them goes out for a Mars pod, right?
I don't think I've heard of anyone, now that we've had just a couple events run, I don't think I've heard of anyone doing more than single deck for this.
My issue with single deck is that the 2 most recent sets have Mars in them. So if you open Mars, you have 0 options.
Oh, hey, that's what I
was going to bring up, because like it made it so that sleeving time went by very quick. Like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. But it was just disappointing that didn't even really look at the other pod, right? Like I already know that I'm not playing it, so it's not worth like evaluating this one so much.
So for the next one, it should be a house that is not in the last set.
Yes.
At least the last set.
Right.
So that was another thing that our player I Drop Lungs mentioned, is that it should be sort of like a meanwhile event.
Yeah.
It would be cool to see what these other houses, like what Shadow's up to.
I agree. Mars is also in Amber Skies. So whatever change this is not about to happen quickly. We're about to get a whole Mars set that's already created. And then after that, it'll be,
Yeah, we're not seeing any of these changes get implemented for at least one set.
Yeah, that feels really awkward. I mean, maybe they won't announce the results until the next set that Mars is in.
I thought you were just going to say not announce the results at all. We just pretend that didn't happen.
Oh my god.
Sweep that under the rug.
Maybe.
Based on our normal information distribution, it could be that long anyway.
It's possible. But no, it was fun. And I do think that the meanwhile idea is much better. Because I pulled a Mars pod, and I think I mentioned before we started recording, it was so much better than the pod that I had to put in for the Rebels. And like, I did it. I'm not going to complain. That was the event that I signed up for. We were doing single deck sealed, but it did hurt to then scan that and see the banger that Sass thought that I had there. It was like, oof, man, that was much cooler. Double Rebel and Psychic Network. Like, wish I had that.
I'm pretty sure the odds of having any specific house in a deck you open is something close to 50%, right? So I wanted to suggest 2-deck sealed strictly from the point of view like half the players aren't going to have options, and that doesn't feel good. However, like our store did well. I agreed with the store, and we're like, the event should be $5 plus however many decks you buy.
That's what we did.
Yeah, it seems fair. They have to pay for the kits, right? Another store point. My store ordered 3 kits and got 5 and was charged for them. So,
oh no,
yeah, and not only that, like our local scene is like between is around 6-ish players, right? So like, what are we gonna do with those?
You can just buy one straight up from them and send it right to me.
Yeah, Jacob's a sick freak. He'll take that.
Okay.
That is another thing about this product, is that it's a cool thing. It's only viable for Alliance, so why not make it legal?
And Keyman is Keymander legal.
Well, fair enough. It's Keymander legal. That's the most.
We knew that format. The cool format was going to let that be legal, June. You didn't need to say that.
We should automatically assume.
Yeah,
of course you knew whatever.
We know you guys are awesome. We weren't worried about that. We're worried about the stick in the muds that work at GG. Josh, we mean you if you're listening to this.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff, and I think, it's the first time they've done this.
Yeah,
I feel like they're never going to revisit the concept, but if they were to, there are a lot of lessons to learn, especially if they listen to feedback.
Yeah. I actually hope that they revisit this more.
Oh yeah.
So my big problem with OP is that right now it is just local scenes making it happen on their own with very minimal support. We had the store champs, which was awesome, and then we had this, which I think was executed a little bit sloppily. I can't really talk because they're doing a lot of stuff right now, so like fair enough. But if it could be polished a little bit, I think it would be so cool. Like just once a quarter, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
once a quarter. I mean, we've waited this year 6 months basically between events, right? That's insane.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like I play some Flesh and Blood on the side, and I can go to 2 events a week, right? They leave it to the store, and I guess I just want like a good reason to show up, other than like to see friends and play. But I could see friends and play.
Yeah,
online
even under
anywhere.
FFG, like it was pretty simple, right? They had some play mats. There were a lot of the cardboard token, amber stun, whatever tokens.
Deck
boxes, maybe some sleeves. Did they have sleeves?
Let's not forget the mini cards that were tokens.
The mini tokens.
Some sadists still use.
Lokacar uses them.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
I
He's
wasn't
a
going to
freak.
mention his name, but
We love him, but that's so weird. That's wild, dog.
If we had those OP kits,
He really is tilting me by using the tiny cardboard tokens.
That's so funny.
they honestly they were pretty efficient because they take up no space. They're easy to display out. You can count them. I won't go off how much of a fan I was of them. I just didn't. I never had enough.
But you got to play with the little pieces, JJ. There's got to be little pieces to play with.
You gotta
I need to
swallow them.
touch the nice
Yeah, you got to eat them.
We're going above the point of this conversation, but that is like obviously the one of the funnest things about Keyforge is that people bling out their tokens, right? And being able to do all that.
Okay. So one thing about this event, back to Martian Civil War before we close it out, there was no prize, right?
No.
Which
Mhm.
is okay. I had somebody ask me like, "Oh, we don't like that's it. We don't do it. We don't get anything." I was like, you can have all of them. You can have my pod and Brandon's.
You can have this garbage that I found.
Well, they wanted to play with like other like kitchen table friends, which is pretty cool.
That's
I
fair.
appreciate that.
Nice.
But back in FFG days, they had two special OP packs that had keys in them. One of them had like dis themed keys that had the house icon, and another had shadow keys that had the house icon, and also like
Are you ready to have
different.
your mind blown? There's
Hmm?
a Starline set too.
I don't believe you.
I have some.
They're around.
Not in arm's reach at this moment. I don't know if that kit was ever released. I found them in a bulk lot on eBay that could have been fished out of a dumpster.
Mammon has every piece of Keyforge trash that you can possibly imagine.
It's not true, but the ones I don't have are aggravatingly hard to find.
Like mere months before I moved across the entire country, this man approached me with a cardboard box, and in it there was a whole bunch of decks, and then two of them he went, "Hey, these are copies of the decks from the original starter kit if you want to have them." And I said, "So you're giving me trash to throw out for you?"
Yeah.
These decks are worth nothing. And he went, "I have 6 copies of each. I don't know what to do with them."
I did 2 years ago at PAX Unplugged make, what was it, like 50 starter sets with all the tokens I had lying around,
Nice.
and we handed out like bulk decks and starter kits to people. This was
We weren't using
it was
the
after the WoW game found, back when we
Yes.
thought it was going to come about 6 months earlier than it did, and so
it was the packs before the Philly Vault Tour. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of crap laying around. I'm trying to pawn it off on people.
But Mammon could have more crap if they made
Exactly.
Mars keys for the event, right?
Yes.
I'm running out of crap
Right.
to collect.
Yeah, GG, make more crap for my friend to
Yeah,
shill
we are still
into
getting a
these-
bunch of hand-me-down crap, which I love.
Yeah.
I love the Saurian sweater card sleeves.
How many super keys do we think Jacob's going to have by the end of 2025?
I only need 3.
3 super keys?
Yeah, I plan
Yeah.
on taking the disc out, replacing them, and I will
Playing
just
some
using each one as
Keyception?
a single key color.
Oh yeah, you should paint each one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So, old story. I at Roseville showed up and I asked Marcus, "Can I use 3 red keys?"
What did he say about that?
He said they need to be visually distinct from each other.
That's
So I was
true.
like,
I have seen that in the rule book.
"Can I use nail polish to paint the little circles that are not red, the little yellow circles of the appropriate colors?" To that, G said, "Absolutely not." So I'm really sad because a lot of people forever have been avoiding forging the red key because of Red Baron,
Red Baron.
which is
Hilarious.
nonsense
I
because
forge
you
it
know
first
if a
every
deck,
time.
yeah, exactly. You know if a deck has Red Baron. First of all, second, it just gains elusive. Like who cares?
Yeah.
We actually play sealed. Any deck I've ever played against would have the Red Baron, and I would have no knowledge of it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
We are sealed boys.
And third, Amber Skies is now coming out, and we care about key colors.
Yeah,
and there's no specific, like, there's no right answer for which key to forge. So everyone's just been making bad habits, and it it drives me nuts.
I think that there's something to be said for making the habit. They're just going to have to change from, okay, not just the red key first to, I have to know all these different cards.
It's gonna be real
Decide
fun.
which keys are worse against my deck.
Here's a tip. This take it from me, kids. King of Bling, we're here. Just forge the red key first every time.
So true.
It makes your life so much easier.
I've got 12 red key. Wait, I don't know what's been.
Actually,
I can't.
Gene,
I won't say anything. I
think
don't know what's been spoiled.
I forget whose idea it was. It was either JJ's or Mammon's, but we were talking about a format of Keyforge where you have to forge your keys randomly out of a bag where you don't know what color you're forging.
Oh, and if they're not all three, you don't win.
No, so you can win with all three, but
You can have 3 reds. That's fine. It's just that you don't have a choice what color you're forging as you're forging the key.
correct. Only really important if Skyborn's around, and probably not most decks, but kind of funny.
And if you would believe it, this conversation came up because we were talking about how many of those giant metal keys from the store champ kits we had left over.
Yeah,
We got a lot.
I think there's 8 in my apartment.
Yeah.
Just loose, like just around.
Oh, like literally on. There's some on the floor. I don't even know
8
what colors
sets or
they
8
are.
keys.
8 sets.
Okay.
8 keys would be really funny. Though.
Keys would be crazy.
I bought a lot of decks on eBay, and it came with one yellow key of the metal ones, and I don't have the heart to throw it away. But God, I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Dude, you could get yourself an oversized gumball somewhere.
Probably just going to pot it off on eBay.
Just start looking for one red key and one blue key.
Give it to me, and I'll drill a hole in it, and I'll wear it on a necklace to the neck to Worlds.
Paint it gold. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll paint it gold. I'll really be true to my name. I've
Bedazzle it.
never shown up with bling, and everyone always asks me about it.
That's you, sir. Have yourself a yellow key.
I will. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
you gotta paint it gold and bedazzle it full like Flavor Flav style.
Go hard.
Yeah.
Right. I will do that for the Keyforge community.
Wait. Oh, right, keys. They could just make something like that. Like, where's the pricing, right?
Yeah.
It's on their website still that like they are coming out with pricing for locals.
You know what? They don't even have to make something. You know what was the perfect prize? Was the store champs decks with the cool border. Do that. Give me a deck with a border that you're not going to make more of. Give me a limited edition regular deck from the current set that we're in with a cool border treatment. I will be happier than a pig in mud. Like, it was so neat and it was so simple.
Okay.
Green lightning, come on, it's perfect. Just mix it up, do a couple different patterns, be awesome.
Don't give them ideas on how to use more mass mutation.
I do think those decks are cool. However, I also recognize the bind Ghost Galaxy kind of puts themselves in where any kind of pricing they make is like effectively costs a lot. Like a deck is a fair amount. I guess other events people pay and then get random decks, but usually that goes like straight from store to person, right? But there's promos on top.
Mm-hmm.
And giving a deck away or having the store pay for the deck and they're bleeding out the nose for it doesn't feel great, whereas other games print promo cards, right?
Yeah.
They're dirt cheap. I calced it, and like, oh god, what was it? There's something like 16,000 cards. No, 8,000 cards printed per Vault Tour of Vault Masters 24 given away, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pricing. And that's good. Meanwhile, Legend Story Studios for Flesh and Blood is printing like one card with gold foil that goes for $500 online. Easy.
Yeah, they're printing all 100 that they're giving away on one sheet at one time.
Right.
Was it you that we were talking to, June, about just like having like a nice alt art or foil card to just swap in a deck that you like? Like the deck, the card is legal, the deck is legal. I've got the deck lists. Like, it'd be so nice just to have that extra level of like, okay, now my cool thing is a little cooler.
But what card?
It doesn't matter what card. Like, You get a sandworm for a deck. Like, you don't run any sandworm decks, but now you have a cool sandworm for when you do.
Oh, you mean like a foil proxy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, if you don't have sandworm decks, somebody does, and they really like their sandworm.
Yeah.
And like the thing about Keyforge, every deck has bad cards, right?
Yeah. What about enhancements though? What about enhancements? How
Give me a foil bad penny. I want
That is the hard part.
Yeah,
We've discussed
that's
this before
fair.
amongst ourselves. That one is the difficult part. Another idea we were tossing around was with the idea of deck copies. We've seen Forgefire exist now. There is a print-on-demand product we can buy. At one point in the hopefully not too distant future, we'll be able to get prints of our decks. It would be cool if you could, through OP, unlock icons and borders and order copies of your decks that have. So let's say I participate in Martian Civil War this year. Well, the Archon deck I'm running, I got a little Civil War badge, and you can throw that on there. And so when I go to Worlds, if I had 12 it, and I have my Archon deck, then I can like slap that logo on it. And if we did run multiple events in a year, store champs, story events, vault tours, scanning my Master Vault ID into those events would unlock a badge. I'm playing in these things, and I could just stack up my Archon card and be like, hey, I have like most of my border covered with these cool badges that I've earned throughout this year.
Yeah. Well, the Vault Warrior prize for this year is like accolade decks, right? Like your deck printed with everything it's like achieved this year. So we know they can do things like
exactly. And those are cool awards for doing well. I'm saying give the rest of us a bunch of garbage badges that we can show off for doing poorly.
Well, I will say, like, as much as it sounds like they have the ability to do this, I'm so sure that that Josh has somebody like Josh has the art designer Will like slaving away over each one of these decks and like designing the whole thing and making sure it gets printed on them. But potentially it could be a really good idea. Like, so it doesn't even really cost them anything to send to the store a season OP kit, which has a variety of these effects, right?
Yeah.
And it's just...
They could be achievement based.
Yeah.
They could be specific event based.
Right. A stack of 3 times 4, a stack of 36 cards, right? Yeah. And when you
perfect Keyforge deck's worth of cards.
Exactly. One deck for 3 months, essentially. And when you go to a weekly, the first place looks through the 36 different, maybe not all different, but like the various different seasonal ways you can modify your deck, and picks one, and it's just a QR code. They scan in, and it's like a voucher for Forgefire, and then you pay to have your deck reprinted. But
and this is the part GG should listen to. That can make you money. More people will buy deck copies if they want to get cool stuff printed on them that they've unlocked.
Yeah, and boy, do I.
Or I could sell my voucher, right?
Yeah,
something of value.
Not scan it in.
God knows I'll need one of each.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some that are stackable, like the you ever seen those like old the children's toys where it's like a rotating thing and there's like a head, a body, and legs?
Yes.
And you just rotate them around and you have different combinations like that. Like there's 3 different things
like
you can do.
Your title, your icon, and your your kill tag or whatever, like on Call of Duty, where it's like you have an icon, but then there's also like a background to your name, and then you also have a title under your name. It's
exactly.
Do that,
or just give like a little speech bubble to your Archon.
But
I mean, I say speech bubble, but honestly, like adding just I get one little flare for my my Archon. Obviously, it has to go through its uniqueness process, but like it'd be cool. Like, all right, he's giving me a thumbs up this time.
I mean, and these are all cool, but like at the end of the day, you do want something that GG is providing, right? And I do think foil proxies would be cool. I agree. I think that's nice. I think that is very card game. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's very much part of the culture, and people are going to be more like June and less like us, I think, in that we really only play Keyforge. JJ plays Magic lightly, but like June, you say you're actively participating in like Flesh and Blood and other card
And
games.
Altered and
Yeah, so it's like you're going to be familiar with that system of being like, oh, this is a shiny card. It's the same as the regular card, but it's pretty, and so that makes me better than you. And like people are going to respond to that, and it's cheap. You know, yeah, it's true. It's a status symbol, and like people love that, and it is cheap, and it feels bad to just walk away with nothing after paying your $5 to play in an event. And like,
I do think collectible promo cards would be cool. They could do full art cards similar to for anyone who actually opened and looked through their collector's editions. In the very back, there's some very cool full art cards. They could even just do more of those, right? If the issue with foil proxies and things like that is the uniqueness, or if they're worried in competitive events of having legal copies you could slide into something, if they're worried about people just putting the wrong cards in, and it not getting, getting caught until deck check for a top 8, you could just make collector's items with the full art. There's tons of art in this game. I will say the Brio card in the collector's kit looks exceptionally awesome. That art looks great blown up. It's very colorful.
Is the collector's kit that you're talking about like the thing where they just have all the cards in the set?
Yeah.
That thing they were doing
the very last deck, I think, in that box, if you open that up, the back few cards, I think there's one full art card from each house. They don't have the text or anything like that on there. They're not playable, but it is a card with the art printed completely on the face of the card.
Yeah, I still have my woe sitting in a drawer. I have not looked at a single thing inside of it.
I think a lot of people don't know those are back there. I watched an opening video because I have not opened mine either.
Okay. All right, man, I need to hear what you mean by saying like someone putting the wrong card in, like because like before deck check.
I don't think have a huge problem with this in our community. We're pretty tight knit at the moment. I think a lot of people know each other. We're very friendly, but cheating happens in many card games. If I swap out my Tudor Brinrillo with a foil Sandworm, that drastically changes what's going on in my deck, and we don't do full deck checks until we hit Top Cut at major tournaments. So, in theory, because you're allowed to, in this proxy system, take a card and replace it, someone could play through a tournament unnoticed with, this extra card that they've replaced until they get to Top Cut, at which point the deck check happens. Maybe they swap it back and just play Top Cut with the regular deck.
I'm going to tell you right now, you could do the same thing today.
Sure.
Yeah.
True.
What's the difference?
I don't know that changes too much, especially when you're having to play sleeved, which most people are anyway. But I think that just speaks to you need to be careful. I'll tell you what, though, if I saw a foil Sandworm, I sure as hell am going to look at their archive card to see if that Sandworm's in there. So I think that's...
Sure. Maybe they put a second one in, right? Like, there's ways that it could go under the radar. And I think that would be the big concern for serious competitive OP with promos like this. But at the same time, there is plenty of OP. In fact, the majority of it, hopefully, if not today, one day will be in stores, in which case those communities could police themselves, and you could make it kitchen table or store legal, but say that you can't do it at a vault tour, right?
Right.
Well, even if you can, like, you're already going, constructed, Archon or Alliance at this point. I think it's fair to illegalize it for sealed, right? It doesn't make sense, like, okay, I'm swapping this out.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're already coming in with your Archon cards,
what's the diff?
Harder cards, yeah.
I'm just trying to think of GG's perspective on this, and just trying to minimize as many weird things happening that are out of their control at large OP events.
Right.
And I promise you that would be a thought that went through their head if that were to be a thing that was discussed.
I appreciate you playing devil's advocate, but as a consumer, all of that's GG's problem, right?
Yeah.
I, as a consumer, I'm saying, like, hey, you have no OP, essentially. No local OP, essentially. You have 2 special events a year, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, apparently, we don't play Keyforge. and this is what I need, right? This is what I need that would cost you nothing.
Sure.
So if you have issues with it, this is what makes you money. So figure it out, right?
Yeah. You know what is the biggest slap in the face for me, and I don't know whose fault it is, or if it's being worked on, or if it's being overlooked, or what, is where is the store locator? Where is the event locator?
Yeah.
It's on playstyle.com.
Listen.
That's been said before. That is where it will be, and that was supposed to be available to stores at Store Champ time.
There was a way that we found out Store Tramp locations.
That was on Keyforging. It's the same way I believe that the Martian Civil War events are being located, where GG is personally going in and adding a pin for every store that does it.
So that just goes back to June's point that like we don't play Keyforge outside of
right.
store.
No, I'm saying that I'm answering KingofBling's question in that it is part of something that is not released. They've said it's in there. We were supposed to have this months ago. That is entirely their fault, but that's where it is.
Here's the thing. They should have had that ready to go when WoW dropped, because the biggest thing about Keyforge is the fact that you can buy a deck and you can just play. Most people who attend a regular local are going to have enough tokens for 2. If I'm in a different town, if I'm somewhere for work, or if I'm just traveling, I should be able to open up the Keyforge website, GG's page, punch in my zip code or my current location, and find out if there's an event happening that weekend within the next, within 10, 15, 25, 50 miles, the way that you used to. Because I might just do that. I might just show up and raw dog it and be like, hey guys, I'm from out of town. I just bought a sealed deck. Can I please borrow 3 keys? Or I will write red, yellow, blue on the back of scraps of paper. You know what I mean? Like, and not having it is so frustrating.
Yeah, it should be part of the Master Vault.
It should be. It needs to be.
And the bigger reason it should be part of the Master Vault is because that's how people who play this game at Kitchen Table will discover it.
Yeah.
People who are playing Kitchen Table are not going to go to playstyle.com.
Yeah, they might not even know decks of Keyforge.
Yeah. Well, that's a third party thing, but
that's what I'm saying. Is like there's an event locator on Dex Keyforge. People post up their events and stuff. But that's the thing, is it's third party. I'm backing up. GG needs to do it. They need to take it into their hands.
And they will say like these are valuable programming hours, and I would respond, these are incredibly valuable parts of the community, and
these are going to get you more sales. These are how your current community members are going to get new community members. This is how you get stores interested. Mm-hmm. This is just advertising through your site.
And it was amazing the turnout that we have. Like our week to week, we know who's going to show up. Like
for sure.
There's almost no question. And then Store Champs and this Mars Civil War, we had double the turnout, if not more. Not double.
Yeah, we have people come out of the woodwork for events. Pre-release.
The pre-release. Oh my god, yeah, we had like 16 people show up for pre-release. We normally have like 4 to 6 people at our locals.
Pre-release too,
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for this event, actually, I was able to sell it to some people who wouldn't have otherwise come, because it is like a non-competitive event.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and there is something to that. Like people like not bringing decks, right, is a big thing. And I think that's appreciated. I think there is a need for both competitive and non-competitive events.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. You got to have both.
How many leagues are there? There's like 20 leagues, at least.
At least.
Like online leagues run by the community, right? Why is there not a league run by Ghost Galaxy?
Yeah. Well, that's the Vault Tour.
Womp womp.
They're so inaccessible. Like, it's just something that is playable without having to pay out the ass, right? Like,
what they should do is sponsor TCO and run a league through there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we've been saying that for a long time.
Even if they do it behind the scenes and don't want to tell us about it, like, hand them some money, have someone run a league for you, and just slap the logo on it.
Yeah.
Make it official in some way or another.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like these are the guys that literally kept this game alive for you through COVID in order to be a company selling this game now.
Before the company existed, even.
Yeah, come on. Like, throw them something. Those guys deserve it. so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
More than almost anyone else in the Keyforge community.
Both the people that run TCO, Cryogen, the head of it, um, and the tournament organizers.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of which did it without pay or and like just for thanks, right?
For sure.
Um,
And for love of the game, of course. I mean, I know
Yeah.
like Hobo participates in ABR, and obviously that's because he wants somewhere to play. You know, he's a big fish. He needs a big pond. He might as well make it himself. It makes
And it's
sense.
a lot of work.
But it is a shit. I don't know if I can curse on here. It's a
No,
ton
you
of.
can. It's fine.
It's a ton of work. It's a shitload of work. It's so
Yeah.
much work.
It's a lot of work, and just what you said, people want somewhere to play to the point that they will start their own leagues.
Yeah.
So let your players help you, right? Like let stores say, I want to run this kind of league, you know, track it, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, say something to the winner. Like I want to play Hexad Nordic Keyforge League, despite my holdings about the league itself. I want to climb ranks. It's addicting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for wanting to be competitive. I know when Jacob and I first started the game, we were pretty much the only two regular players in our local store until JJ came around. And there was definitely a point where kind of the two of us were like, all right, like I'll see you at the end of this round robin while we flatten these other two guys who show up once every 3 weeks on a rotating basis. And then it's just the two of us, you know, and you need somewhere to go out and flex and play against other players, you know, and have someone else to sharpen your skills against. Like,
Yeah.
I will say that the current OP situation has also made it confusing for store owners.
yeah.
I know that there are a lot of store owners that are surprised to say like Keyforge, like that's still a thing.
Yeah.
Our actual local game store where we met playing this game, just like I mean, I won't get into the politics of that store that I'm too in tune with, but they had a box of Unchained sitting around for forever, and they were like, if you guys go through this, we might consider ordering more. I'm like, look, I get it. Unchained's a weird set. We will buy Unchained if there's more stuff, but like you got to start stocking, and they're not even aware that there's like new sets coming out.
Yeah. They need to communicate. It's like
Asmodee definitely has not been making it easy either.
apparently you can direct order from GG. I'm not sure if GG is telling stores this. I saw in a Discord that Josh said, "Oh, tell your store they can buy direct from GG," and it's like, hold on,
You gotta know to order off the secret
you
menu.
Tell my store they ordered product through your game found. Tell them you can just buy direct now. Like,
yeah.
Stores also need their distributors.
Yeah.
Is another thing. Is like
Yeah.
they're not going to go backstab. Well, I don't even know if it's backstabbing, but like go around their distributors to get things direct sometimes, just because it's like that's not their business model.
At our current local in Westchester, Gameskeep, if anybody wants to show up and play, Westchester, Pennsylvania, our local is very fortunate to be hosted by Drazcor from Archon's Corner. And obviously he's an incredibly involved member of the community, but he's also very incredibly involved at our local store. And he has expressed to us how lucky he feels and how lucky we should feel that he is involved, because that store almost was ready to shut out Keyforge as well when GG was, you know, asking for it to be ordered through the Game Found, because the owner was just like, I have too much stuff to deal with.
Did not back the WoW Game Found and only got it when it came to retail sale.
Yeah, because it's just too much. He's already dealing with too many other distributors, you know?
I mean, that also factors into even just how we, as players, consumers, have to interact with the Game Found too. Is like, I'm going to get so many decks for Amber Skies. And
you
like,
are going to get so many decks.
I'm going to get so many decks. There's a part of me that's like, it's already sunk costs. Like, I do want to get back to the store, but I'm just gonna have so many decks. I'm gonna be rolling in decks.
Yeah. At this point, I'm only back in Game Found to like 12 decks. That's where I'm at.
Wow.
I said that, and then I got the art pledge.
Yeah.
Part of my strategy there is as soon as those boxes come in, I plan on selling them online to anyone who needs more before it comes to retail. And then just turning that money right around and just buying boxes at retail store.
Yeah,
It's not a great strategy, but at least the money gets to my local store somehow.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I was with you, June. I was gonna just back the lowest level, and then when they did the tokens of change split,
Yeah.
I came back, but that was just because I was really curious to see what a super key felt like in my hot little hands.
Yeah, actually I remember now. I did also order tokens of change display after I heard that.
Yeah,
I have 24.
Tokens of change is gonna be bomb. It's gonna be so cool.
So cool. Logos tokens?
I know. I'm excited. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I do think that the OP thing is that they're on the right track. I think GG is fumbling it a little bit. I do think that they're still getting their feet under them. I think we can give them some slack, but it needs to be more. It just needs to be more. It needs to
year
be
to year. They did come up a lot from last year, from the game, or from the prize money only vault tours to where we're at now. It's a much better model. I'm sure that we'll get closer to what we're really looking for.
Yeah, I think we'd all be okay if they swing and miss a couple times a year.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would much rather play a bad event than not.
And yeah,
if that's all we get are the couple swings and misses, I'm not happy with that.
just swing.
And when one of them's great, we'll do it twice next year, and then take a couple other new shots. Like, just try everything out that you can.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting how many sets this year? I think they're shooting pretty hard.
But they're shooting the wrong direction. I don't need more product because I'm going to spend the same amount of money anyways, and now it's just going to be diluted amongst more sets. I'm fine with that, but that's not how they're going to get more money out of me. They're going to get more money out of me if they do more events. If I have more reasons to...
Tokens of change is a mystery to me. I understand more mass mutation. Tokens of change is like, why? It's a cool set. Why did you do it this way? Why was it an afterthought in the GameFound campaign? Why wasn't it just one of next year's sets?
It is a full retail release. This is like a preview.
Sure, but it's not. It's still considered a special set. It's not in the main set rotation, but it sure does sound like a main set, right?
Oh yeah.
What's special set about this? This is a legal set that is going to have new. I mean, presumably we'll have enough token making cards to make it a different enough set from previous sets with these houses in it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a full set to me. Why
new house? How about new house? How about the whole new house?
Why surprise drop this halfway through a GameFound campaign?
It's new household cards, so I will say that it is special.
Old cards and new cards.
Are there new cards?
There are new cards, yeah, for sure.
Okay, we saw a new card as well that is the exact same it's the same text as Press Gang, which is great.
Yeah. But it's a different card.
Of all of the cards to insert into your anti-sanctum mutant themed house,
Press Gang. Hell yeah, baby. I love Press Gang.
Why not just reprint the Sanctum token maker?
Nah. It's not angry enough.
Well, I didn't like Muster, to be fair.
Yeah, Muster's not great.
It's not about that. It's about the flavor.
So true. Well, I think there is like a lot of like assault and stuff. Anyway, yeah,
we're so far from the point. The main point is more. We need more events. I think that a good healthy place would be one a month. Some small for the store,
or a way to support events. Like, it's fine if it's player driven.
Yeah, where are these community kits that have been talked about since the first KFC?
Yep.
It's been almost 2 years. Where is my box that I personally can order and bring into the store, fund myself, and hand out to new people when they come in, or returning players to get whatever things are in there? Like, where is it? It's not that hard, honestly. It's not. We all know playmats are going to be in there. Just print some playmats. Like,
playmats are expensive. Just give us promo cards.
They're making them themselves. They're not that expensive. I hate to say it. I used to work in print. I know that the cost of these things, it's not cheap, but I'll tell you what, it's not the price that we're paying at retail. You know what I mean? And that's even more so.
Single custom playmats are definitely expensive.
Of course.
But if you're printing in thousands, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, rolls of neoprene, not expensive. You got to have the cutter already. So, like, they're already set up to do it. And that's kind of my thought with decks, too. It's like decks are expensive retail. And I'm not going to lie and say that GG isn't paying a higher premium than FFG was as a subsidiary of Asmodee when they were making Keyforge. But the deck itself, the 36 cards, if it's just a regular deck with a special border treatment, your cost is minimal. It's like you were already printing decks. All you're doing is taking 15 minutes to swap out the printer.
I've made this argument a few times. Like I recognize that their manufacturing does have a pretty specialized, setup. They are only they're printing a deck at a time in
For sure.
a very specific way. So, and I do they have like a fixed number of machines, right?
They do have a fixed number of machines, but they batch the decks up, so they're basically printing them the same way that you or I would print many pages of a single document. It's just that they're decks at a time.
My point is, if they're doing a print run of one set and then they want to get your special deck in there, like
I'm not saying my special deck. Sorry if I wasn't clear. I'm talking about like the store champ decks where it's just a border, so you can print many of them at once, but they're special.
But it's still taking away from the main print.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I can add a counterpoint to that, they've already told us that at some point we'll be able to order custom reprints of our decks. So there's room in that printing for them to stop, print all the things that I specifically want, and then resume. I don't see how it's that much different for a short print run of prize decks. They've already told us that they can do it and that it's on the way in 4 to 6 weeks.
I think, but at the moment, I think they're doing it very deliberately.
Yeah.
Now
I can't wait to get like the deck reprints in my old lady shriveled hands.
Here's another concept. What if there are special promo pods that you can only mix and match with the current set for OP?
Yeah.
You could print them 3 times as efficiently. I don't know exactly what the structure of that could be. Maybe you could even collect them throughout an OP season, and then there's a big event at the end of the quarter that everyone uses, creates an alliance or something that you collected these pods throughout the season. But you can print them 3 times as efficiently if you're not doing a whole
hang
deck.
on. Actually, that brings up an interesting point. There were in the Martian Civil War thing that we had today, you still had an Archon card, you still had your token cards, your extra card. There was also the
front and back,
the kind of the cover card that was also the record keeping card.
Yeah.
And I think there was one card in the back that was a little different too. I don't remember what that was.
Well, for the store champ decks, they put advertisements on them.
Okay, here's an idea. What if those advertisements are from outside companies and those companies fund my prize kits?
So, well, hang on. My point was that the 3 times more efficiently, because like it's 38 cards, 37 cards.
Yeah,
38.
38 because there's the special.
There's a rules card and then there's the Archon card.
Right. So it's not 3 times more, only because they had a couple extra cards on top of these 12.
Close enough to 3 times.
Yeah, it's not about that it being 3 times. It's like, did they have a special process just for these that is now very, very different than...
It's already been created. They've already proved to us that they can print individual pods, yeah.
Oh, guys, foil pods. You get a foil pod that you can mix in for Alliance. But
every time a Keyforge player says foil, someone at GG skips a heartbeat.
Listen,
you guys need to stop.
It's so cool. Foils are so cool.
I don't know, full art, all border, right?
Yeah, full art. Many of the art pieces they have, not all of them from my minimal art research, but many of the pieces they have are much bigger than they appear on the card.
Oh, for sure.
Full art can't be that hard. Or even extended art, right?
Will has to make a single, templating change, right? And you're good to go.
And you just have to know which cards have the large enough art to be able to do it.
All right, here's what it is. You get the proxy pod. It's a fresh pod, but you get 1 full art card in it. All the text is foil.
Quit with the foil. I told you what happens when you say that word.
That's a whole new process they each added to their printer.
Jeremy and Josh are trying to enjoy their time off. You're giving them panic attacks.
Okay, so we combine the ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about earning the
borders and badges,
the special and borders and things. Yeah, what if you can just order a whole new deck, right? So that you have an extra incentive and it comes with the version, right?
Yeah.
Or there's any number, there's endless iterations of great ideas.
Yeah.
they could
The the special pods is an interesting thought, especially considering how much they pushed Alliance on us last year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like everybody was like sealed, sealed, sealed. Well, here's Alliance. And if they gave us the option, like here's a pod, it's like, all right, now I've got this pod. Maybe I'll try to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I've got a bunch of Archon decks.
I think there are a lot of people not open to it.
To
So-
Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, hand them a pod that they can't do anything else with.
yay.
Now they're going to start looking to Alliance.
Yeah, what are you gonna do, nerd? You're gonna not play those shiny cards? Put them in a different deck.
Especially if you give them an event specifically at the end of
Yeah.
the season where you're like, hey, take
Yeah.
your best pod and then swap it out with one deck, one pod and one deck.
Okay.
Or
winner?
do a sealed.
Wait, this might be a horrible idea.
Let's
The
hear it.
winner gets their deck printed as an Archon deck.
Oh no!
That would be interesting.
One pot Alliance, but then it becomes
That would-
a true Archon.
It'd
That'd
probably
be
have to be
crazy.
sealed though. You'd get some broken Archon decks that get printed from that.
Yeah,
if you were
that'd be
collecting
scary.
the best pods.
Well, I mean, they might have to be like attached to your like Master Vault. Like you report the results,
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
right? And your pod is also assigned to you, right? So you show up and like I don't know, maybe you have like 6 or 8 pods. Like you're not going to make something that broken.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
It inherently relies on having a great combination of cards, but maybe there's like deck ascension or something, which I know people talk about. But you know what? That's so funny. We have to talk about this. JJ, who was asking you about chains? One of the new guys was talking about chains, and then our friend I Drop Lungs from our local was said something just in passing. He was like, "Hey, are they ever going to bring back chains for like balancing local
yeah.
OP?" And I was like, "No, they're not, because they don't like cool, fun things that are interesting."
And also, there's no local OP.
It is amazing that it's still
yeah.
the stats are still in Master Vault too. Like
Yeah.
my 12, 13 power deck is still
Yeah, dude, I was just playing
Got
Gustav
all
the other
that
day
power.
on TCO. He's still a beast. Gustav Spike Fiefdom Diplomat was my first pet deck. Went pretty hard at the locals.
I will say you are going to end up on a couple people's shit list by calling chains cool, fun things, by the way.
chain-bound events and
Yeah.
having the stats
Yeah.
associated. I
Sorry.
think
I'm
that's
well
what we're
aware.
talking about. Statistics are cool. We
Yeah.
love stats.
Binding Iron's best card in the game. Don't at me.
I mean, I think it's up to the stores. Like you can let them do chainbounds if people want to play chainbound,
Right.
and let them play just Archon if they want to play Archon, right?
Enable
Yeah,
it,
but
though.
there's nothing to keep track of chains power at the
Currently.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
cool though, because it felt like, Gustav was so good. I won so many games with him that it felt really cool to have the chains, because it's like this giant Archon who's, like throwing all of his might against these chains that are binding him down, and like how far can he go before it's too far? You know what I mean? Like, that felt so cool.
12
Chains themselves.
Every 6 chains, you unlock an accolade, and you can get a custom print with
Boom.
that out on it.
Boom.
Yeah, there you go.
You heard it here first, Josh.
Oh, or you get a
That is the
special.
wrong person.
You just
heard
get a
it here
special
first, GG,
amber
gentlemen.
token, which is like a chained amber. Right? And if you get enough decks like chained, you get like a full playset of chained amber.
Let me ask you this, June. Does it look super delicious and edible?
Of
Oh
course.
yeah, it's actually also flavored.
Sold. I am in.
Flavored like a Switch
For that-
cartridge.
For that wild thing to happen, they'd have to be at least moderately affiliated with a company that makes tokens, and that's just so far out of reach.
What?
Yeah.
Never see
Dream
that.
what?
No one could ever dream of that scape, possibly.
Dream Trace.
Dream Trace.
Sorry, Trace. No one could ever trace that dream back to its source. Jeez. Yeah, General Mills and GG coming together to make the flavored chained amber is my biggest fantasy, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Please
mean,
CGP.
chains
Ooh.
in cards have even taken a slight just to pull it back to this, have taken like there are fewer cards that chain
Yeah.
now than there were, and I do think a lot of the strong cards in Winds of Exchange, Grim Reminders, would be it would be interesting to see them in chainbound events, just because like I don't think like you need card draw for a lot of those to start
Yeah.
doing things. They're still probably better than the AOA Coda. Like when I hit 9 chains, it was a crapshoot whether I was going to do well.
Yeah, in Coda, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was just like cool. I do the thing, and that's it. Whereas like in WoW, it's like cool. I still make 6 tokens on this turn, even though I only have 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, it's tough. I just think that what GG needs to do the most is just wait in. You know what I mean? I think that they appear to be a little bit worried about getting flack for their ideas, and I think they need to be less worried about that. I think
That's
that
the thing. They're
think people
always going to get flagged.
exactly right. It's like they're always going to get crap from people. You just need to start swinging. Like you guys just need to start doing
get flack
stuff.
for the things you do rather than the things you don't.
Exactly.
Yes. Any closing thoughts about like OP?
More.
Take anything.
More OP. Please. Like just the community. Well, actually, really the community kits.
Yeah.
Like give us the power, because if you guys aren't going to do anything, at least put the tools in our hands to do something.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. If your hands are full, don't worry about it. We have so much free time. We will run OP events.
Yes. We threw so many ideas out there. I'm just going to champion one, and that is promo cards you can slot into your decks. I know there are problems. If you figure those out, it is so easy and so cheap, and gives people like value. Right?
I think you already figured it out, June. I think you're right. I think that the problems that there are already present. You can sneak a Sandworm into any deck right now.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be noticed until you get to Top Cut. Why not make it cool? Why not have it be a shiny Sandworm? If you're going to cheat,
I always
at least
sneak
do
a
flashing.
Sandworm into my non-Equidon decks.
I sneak 10 in. Yeah. I mean, there may be some issues, but if you put in the time to figure those out, the rest of your life in GG is so much easier.
So much easier.
Put a little money into some OP kits, a little bit of physical assets, and more money will come in because you'll have more players.
Yeah. Boy, shiny cardboard. It sure does sell.
Yeah, diversity of sets is nice, but giving us a reason to pull in the people that we don't see as often in our regular play events,
for sure,
is really what we're looking for.
Yeah, make it feel special.
Yeah. Well, any parting words for all the listeners of our first episode?
All those listeners, listen to the second episode.
If you're playing Keyforge and not ruling of sixing, then
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. If you don't laminate a sheet with every card in your deck on it so that you can mark down exactly how many times you've used each card, what are you even doing?
Did you see what I did for Vandola?
I didn't.
Oh, I started making some proxies for playing Flesh and Blood because the cards are crazy expensive.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, let me do this for Keyforge, and I made reference cards for each of the cards I rule of 6 with a little space for a die on them, and I drew the card the art on the bottom.
Nice.
And it's perfect. I'm gonna do it for Becky next.
Nice. Yes. Very cool. June branded proxies for rule of sixing.
Exactly. Find it at your local OP.
Yeah. Find it at your local OP, kicking your absolute teeth in.
Yes. Okay. Well, after our subject, we will be doing listener mail, but obviously we have none for our first week. So that's it for Rule of 6 this week. Y'all say bye.
Thanks for having us, June. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, June.
Bye.
This is Rule of 6, and don't forget to pull your archives. Bye.